sea of life, so much pain. Warring divides, it's a shame. We don't see how it can be. Oh, we need to smile at each other, reach for your brother, help one another. All we need is love.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Yfactor.
Honor our mother, shelter our sisters, all to existence. God's help will come from above. But first we need the love.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Today is 2nd of June of 2011. Welcome to another episode of the Yfactor. Today we have a special guest with us by the name of Jamel. Now Jamel will be filling in for this week and the coming weeks, won't you, Jamel? Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the program. Welcome to the program, Jamel.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Nice to see you too, Mohammad, in person after such a long time away from me.
I heard you're quite an avid listener of the Yfactor.
Oh yeah, I've listened to this show like a billion times, multiplied by zero, but a billion times.
I don't blame you. I mean, we are the latest, the freshest of anything got to do with radio in Sydney, Australia, and possibly the world.
Oh, definitely, especially after my cameos here, you'll definitely get worldwide.
Okay, inshallah. We're going to move on to our news segment for today. We've got some very interesting news articles, don't we, Jamel?
We do indeed. Every week has always got some interesting stories and always something about Muslims. Surprise, surprise.
Here we go.
The Yfactor.
And to kick off our news items for this week, yesterday on the ABC, they broadcast footage of Australian cattle being mistreated in Indonesian abattoirs, and apparently the government is considering a live export ban from this footage. It appeared on Four Corners a few nights ago. That's interesting, isn't it, Jamel?
I think it's actually quite a bit of a joke, because you have the government who's now saying that they're considering banning all live exports to Indonesia. I mean, seriously, are you going to generalize to the whole of Indonesia just because of a few abattoirs who are being cruel to these animals? It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. I mean, look, the footage is pretty graphic. It shows Australian cattle being beaten, whipped and kicked prior to being slaughtered in Indonesia. But I guess, and it's interesting what the agricultural minister said, Jo Ludwig. She actually said, I have ordered an immediate investigation by the Department of Agriculture, Fisheries and Forestry that have helped me provide all the available options in response to the evidence. I think there needs to be more investigation into this other than just going off of Four Corners. I mean, they're very credible, the Four Corners show, but I don't think they should ban, as you said.
Four Corners are credible, right?
Well, there's some critics out there.
You're throwing a joke out there. Is that, are you serious? Just as bad as 60 Minutes or Today Tonight. What a joke.
Look, but as you said, I wouldn't ban entire exports to Indonesia based on that evidence. I mean, that footage. And I'm pretty sure, I know some halal butchers, and the amount of suffering that animals go through in Australia, without the halal process, they get electrocuted, they get gassed, they get frozen to death.
Oh yeah, some horrendous ways of killing the animals, where it's like mass executions, like a mass guillotine, or there's one machine where the animals basically just follow one after the other, and they puncture a hole into its head. Have you ever watched No Country for Old Men, I think it's called?
Yeah, that's
same sort of machine that he uses, where he tells him to flip a coin and then heads or tails,
Except animals are suffering. So, it's pretty interesting. We'll see. We'll follow up that story, inshallah, and see how it goes. Moving on to another story. Obviously, I'm pretty sure you've all heard of Manal Al-Sharif. She was jailed after she posted a YouTube video of her driving in Saudi Arabia. And as we know, Saudi women aren't allowed to drive in Saudi Arabia. And apparently the latest news is she's been freed, because she was actually jailed. She's been freed after she agreed to quit her campaign, which has got worldwide attention. But I think it'd be wise, Jamel, don't you think, to leave this to the girls next week to tackle this issue?
I definitely say so, but there's one part of the article which sort of caught my eye where they say, a Muslim cleric actually suggested to lash her for her crimes. Now, when they say Muslim cleric, I'm like, it could have just been some brother with a beard, in a jalabi or something like that, and suddenly he's a cleric.
If that's the case, I think I'm a cleric, and so are you, Jamel.
The Yfactor.
One of the interesting things about working at a radio station is that you actually, it doesn't matter exactly how hideous the people working here are, because you're just listening to their voices, so you don't have to suffer their personage like I have to while I'm right here with Mohammad.
I've taken offence to those words, Jamel, so I'll deal with you at the end of the program. All right, we're going to continue on with the news items for today.
Something about swearing, I think it was.
Yeah, it was. In Victoria, they actually plan to introduce laws this week that will give police permanent powers to issue on-the-spot fines to people who swear.
In any language?
I'm not sure. It says that you will get a $240 fine for language that is considered indecent or offensive. So it could be in Arabic if it sounds indecent.
So I could be saying, yeah, abyad, and they might think it's some sort of swear word.
Or falafel, or tabuli.
Hummus, baba ganoush.
It's funny how we relate all those Arabic words to food. I mean, I love my food. I'm pretty sure you do.
Well, it's the first thing that comes to mind. But, what if you started saying different, euphemisms instead in English as swear words? So you might say, something like, you peacock instead of something else.
Well, look, the Attorney General Robert Clark said the changes will mean that police don't have to go through the courts to deal with people who use bad language. The reaction from young people isn't too good anyway. They're actually saying they're feeling targeted by the new swear jar law. And Victorian legal right groups are actually pouncing on this and saying that it's unfairly targeting, young people because they do tend to swear.
They're saying that young people are the only ones who do the swearing. I know a fair share of police, and they do plenty of swearing. So that's funding some police officers as well.
Tell me about it. But hey, good. It's interesting. We'll see how far this story goes.
The Yfactor.
Now, this next story has actually bewildered me. I don't actually believe it. In Perth, a mosque wasn't approved, wait for it, Jamel, on the grounds that its activities were, and I quote, too unusual.
Unusual? That's a joke, man. Unusual because, wow, oh my God, they pray 5 times a day? What? Who prays 5 times a day? That's unusual.
Oh my God, it's hideous.
It's too unusual for our area, these people coming up in their conservative clothing.
Well, the Islamic community in Perth, I think that is the Association of Islamic Dawah, not Dawah, Dawah, that's what it's spelled.
It's probably just misspelled.
Probably is, yeah. Well,
it's like Ahmed becomes Ahmed.
That's correct. So it's the Association of Islamic Dawah in Perth. They lost their appeal to run a mosque in a rural area in Perth. Sorry, tongue twister. Perth. Can you say it?
Perth.
No, Perth with an S.
Perth.
See?
What? Perth.
Perth. It's like saying Sydney's. Perths.
Oh, Perths.
Right. Anyway, what Jamel said in their southern suburbs. So, the State Administrative Tribunal supported the refusal to allow prayer services in Orange Grove, which is a suburb they're trying to build the mosque in. But I'm simply gobsmacked at their bloody excuses. They said the mosque activities would be, and I quote, unusual, resulting in an, I quote, undesirable impact, incompatible with retaining the local character and amenity of the area.
I can just imagine one of the local council saying, these people, they fast for a whole month. Can you believe that? Strange. They have this... They stand in prayer for so long, and all for 30 days long. Unusual. Let's ban their mosque.
SubhanAllah, it's interesting. But I don't mind a mosque being not approved or refused due to parking issues or traffic, but for
parking issues,
sake,
Muslims don't have any parking issues.
Double park. No. Don't go to Howden Street or Auburn Road, Auburn. Don't be silly, Jamel.
We don't park in front of people's driveways.
Actually, speaking about double parking, I actually had a friend from the eastern suburbs come to Auburn for lunch, and he was actually a bit late. It was about half an hour late. And I'm like, whoa, I'm the one that's usually late. I told him, why were you
Running
late?
on Muslim Standard Time.
Yeah, pretty much. And he was very late. And I told him, why were you late, Phil? Like, what happened? Everything okay? He said, I was just caught up in this double parking mayhem on Auburn Road. I've never seen such chaos in my life. And he sounded really agitated. And I said, look, it's better. It's good that you didn't get any gunshots headed your way. So double parking is a minimum. So just be grateful.
Well, if you think that's chaos, you should go to Hajj, man.
Tell me about it.
6 million people worth of chaos.
The Yfactor.
Moving on to Victoria, the second best state in Sydney. They have another problem with South Asians. First it was stabbings, and now it is shaving boys with beards. There's been a Sikh boy at a school who had his beard forcefully shaven by the school. And, what's next for Melbourne? You guys are really, you're shaming Australia, to tell you the truth. Always going to be second best to Sydney.
Yeah, they actually made, a Melbourne school actually made a Sikh boy, the religious Indians who wear the turban. They made him shave, and it left him feeling embarrassed and depressed, and it could amount to bullying. And the school principal said that the teachers involved did not agree to make the boy shave, although he did. And his comments were, our progress has brought us to the conclusion that facial hair will be permitted by the Sikh boys at the school. But the Sikh Federation wasn't too happy, were they, Jamel?
No, they weren't. It's funny, you had some people saying, well, the intention wasn't to cause harm to anybody. Well, plenty of people have had good intentions to begin with, but it's always turned out, not always, but often those good intentions have never become fruitful with good things.
Yeah, and it just sounds ridiculous. I mean, if you're going to make every young Muslim boy shave it, particularly Arab Muslims, I was born with a beard. If you're going to make me shave, I shouldn't have even went to public, primary school, for goodness sake.
Just on your beard, Mohammed. Don't have a hairy chest, hairy back.
Don't go
hair
there,
coming out
Jamel,
of your ears and your nose.
We're on air, okay.
No, he's not really that bad.
Thank you. And our next story is about an interesting game, isn't it, Jamel? It's about a new video game by Nintendo that has actually been stopped from being sold in Sweden, Denmark and Norway, so pretty much Europe, after child pornography concerns. It will, however, remain in Australia with a PG rating. Now, the game itself is Dead or Alive Dimensions. That's the name of the game, and it's about tactical fighting. We know what Dead or Alive is about.
Everybody remembers Tekken, Street Fighter. Everybody knows about that. It's the same sort of thing, just a new sort of game.
Well, do they know about the three of the game's characters named Ayane, Karoki, and Kasumi, who are described as being 18 years of age? And I'm looking at a photo right now. They look pretty indecent to my eyes, Jamel.
Well, look, man, I mean, already, it's not the first time that the sexualization of women has been prevalent in games. It's just become a part of the culture of the world today. This the globalized trend in video games. You're gonna have this sexualization of women. The only problem that they have with this game is because it was mentioned that a cartoon character was under 18 years of age. So now it's suddenly a big thing, rather than being the sexualization of women,
which is the root cause of the problem.
Exactly,
right?
It's the age of the people, and they're saying that it's going to be promoting people desiring child pornography. Some shiza,
Well, as part of the game, if you do play it, you can actually look up the characters' dresses in certain poses, and that's been considered by many as potential child pornography because those three characters are under 18
they're
years
cartoon
of age.
characters, man.
Hey, look, cartoon characters can be stimulating and arousing for people. Jamel, you'd be surprised we live in a very colourful world, as we learnt about last week with I still can't get over it, the Zombie Research Society.
But I'd say the issue shouldn't be about the age of the cartoon characters. It should be about the actual, what they're making the characters wear and all that.
No, for goodness sake. See, just honestly, in my opinion, throw a niqab on it and problem solved. No need for child pornography laws. No need for ratings on games. Just throw a niqab on it. That's my saying, and no one can tell me otherwise.
Yeah, as if that's going to happen.
The Yfactor.
Now on to our wacky segment for the week.
Jamel, it isn't wacky news yet. There's still one more news item we need to go through.
Being what?
That Istanbul has been chosen as the world's most livable city.
No. That's part of the Istanbul being the world's most livable city is part of the wacky news. I assure you.
No, it isn't, Jamel.
Are you sure this isn't just some sort of joke that they have? It must be some sort of rigged poll.
Mate, you're a joke, okay? Istanbul has been voted as the world's most livable city, followed by London, New York, San Francisco, Paris, Rome, Rio, Sydney, Hong Kong, and Delhi, according to an international online poll.
Fair enough. They must have upgraded their kebab machines or something. I'm not sure.
Istanbul is more than kebab machines. I've been there, although their kebabs are quite nice, I must confess.
I gotta say, I love my guzleme.
Guzleme, yes it is. Nasılsın abi? Anyway, the Financial Times actually conducted the poll, said Istanbul is cosmopolitan, busy, young in its population, but historic in its fabric, socially mixed with a huge disparity of income, accessible in a city that has always been built on its status as a bridge between not just continents, but civilizations, ideas, religions, and people. I believe they forgot about kebabs, Jamel.
That's probably the thing that stands out the most in Istanbul, the massive kebabs that you can get on a big long stick.
The Yfactor.
On to our wacky news for the week, and we consider this next piece of news as wacky because it is clearly unusual and strange, and God help these people. Anyway, in New Zealand, the New Zealand Prime Minister John Key, his son has been named the country's top planker after he posted a photo of him online, apparently planking in front of his father. What is planking, Jamel?
If you don't know what planking is, it's basically you're lying flat on your stomach with your arms straight against your body, on your sides in unusual places. That's pretty much it.
And it's apparently taken the world by storm.
By storm. There are videos all over YouTube. It's the new trend these days, man. It's the next law.
I know, if you're not planking, you're just a loser, apparently, sir. But I just can't get over the fact that there's actually a title for this in New Zealand. Like, I know there's a lot of sheep there, but what
do they call it?
No, like he actually won the title of New Zealand's top planker.
Oh my god.
And yeah, so
Ruffle Malau and Lamafau.
On a more serious note, the actual craze itself has been linked with at least one fatality in Australia. As we know, in Brisbane, a man was planking, apparently when he was drunk, on the seventh story balcony of a large building in Brisbane.
Oh my god.
And he fell to his death after planking. So it can be pretty dangerous, can't it?
Must have been like, hey, what's this, guys? Lies down on the thin railing and says, whoa! Falls straight off. Again? 7 stories, smack. Apologies
smack
to his family.
That dead on the ground. So, Prime Minister Julia Gillard's actually commented on
excuse for stupidity.
She said it can have tragic consequences, although the Facebook planking page has attracted more than 13,000 likes. And people have called it epic, and a common phrase is...
And on to the next story.
Okay. No, they say, what a plank!
On to the next story, right?
Good idea. I'm sick of this.
Talking about sick, I'm sort of sick of the why factor that you just heard. But something else that is making non-Muslims sick is apparently the word that Mars bars have become halal.
I never even knew they weren't halal in the first place. But
now, exactly. But when somebody told me that Mars had become halal, I thought, well, it's only rocks and dust. So, I didn't have a problem with that initially. They said, no, the chocolate bar.
Yeah, when you slaughter rock and dust, you have to say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim with a sharp knife and slice the main artery in the neck.
Really?
Yeah,
I had
what's
no
wrong
idea.
with you?
Does it feel no pain as well?
No pain at all. Halal process, the beauty of it, the virtue of it.
Fantastic. All right, so do we get like halal astronauts, accredited astronauts?
I don't mind. Apparently there's an attack on chocolates in general, isn't there, Jamel?
Yeah, they had the Kit Kat that had come out some time ago. It was made halal. And then you actually had some non-Muslims in Australia who were complaining about it, saying, oh my god, I'm going to boycott Kit Kat. How can they make this halal? I'm not going to eat this halal thing, as if it's some sort of poison that they put inside it that only, Muslims can eat. And then some people are saying, well, if they're making things halal, which is really only a different way of slaughtering an animal, it's a more humane way of slaughtering an animal.
Proven.
Exactly. You know, they're saying that...
Well, one of them actually said, and I heard this the other day, and they actually meant it. He said, when you make products in Australia halal, you're implicitly enforcing Islamic beliefs on other people. So if you eat halal meat, there's a trance in that meat or some sort of spell, and when you do eat it, you're going to end up making a shahada. So I don't know the logic of these people, but
hey, if that is true, we could get a lot more Muslims in Australia.
We should make everything halal.
We should, eh?
The Yfactor.
All right, Mohammed, I got an idea.
All right, talk to me.
We're starting off on chocolates. It started off on Kit Kats. It started on the Mars bar now. Next, you know what's going to be halal?
Tell me.
VB. We're taking over Victoria Bitter. Going to become non-alcoholic halal beer.
Yes.
So
moving on to the final wacky news of the week.
It's a premonition, I'm telling you.
Khair, inshallah. I have no affiliation with Jamel. He's just the host for today. I don't know him. Anyway, moving on.
This is the last show that you'll be hearing of me.
Definitely. So we're going to cross live now to our state correspondent, Jack, who's actually in Outback Queensland as part of our last wacky news item. Jack, do you come in, Jack?
Oh, hello, Mohammed. How's it going?
Not too bad, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm alright, mate. It's nice to hear from you finally after all this time.
Oh, likewise. So talk to me. Apparently there's an outbreak of rats apparently in Outback Queensland.
Yeah, the rats have been starting to steal false teeth of all the oldies out here. Apparently they are no longer able to afford the dentist bills. So they've started stealing old people's teeth.
How credible is this actual story, Jack?
Well, you actually had it in one of the papers. You had Margaret Pigeon from Stonehenge. She said that the rat, he didn't waste any time, the little bugger. He just took my teeth and went straight away.
So there is actually a pandemic of out-of-control rats that are travelling from town to town, eating and dissecting everything.
And unnaturally attracted to false teeth.
That's interesting. We don't have that down here, Jack, in Sydney, so we're a bit more civilised. Our rats we tame our rats.
You tame your rats. I wouldn't mind getting my hands on one of those.
Anything else you'd like to add, Jack, before we leave you alone? Anything you'd like to say about the rat pandemic?
Yes, there's actually rewards going out to anybody who catches the rats chewing on anything from walls to bats and hats.
Wow, they don't let anything go to waste, certainly. Thank you very much,
We're
Jack.
looking for anyone who's got Pied Piper experience.
Jack, I appreciate your time, but I can a bit of our time, so we'll let you go. Thanks for your report in Outback Queensland. That was Jack reporting live from Outback Queensland.
Yeah, thanks for that, Jack.
The Yfactor.
Jack, stay on the line. We're actually going to give you the honour of today.
No worries, mate.
Signing everyone out to the break before we come back for our main feature segment, which is actually about the massive Islamic billboards, the massive Dawah marketing campaign that's actually going to happen very shortly. You might have noticed some signs that are happening around Sydney that are coming up, the big billboards on main roads. We'll be talking to the project manager in charge of that, inshallah, after the break. But Jack's going to do us the honour of signing out before we come back from our break.
Yeah, no problem, Mohammed. Thanks, mate. All right, just stay in tune to the Yfactor on 87.6 FM.
Mountains of Mecca, what can you say of the day that Abraham passed your way? And he was instructed by God to build a house of peace where people will pray, and they will come on every lean camel and out of every ravine for the purpose of praising Allah, to glorify Allah. Oh, mountains of Mecca, what can you tell of the day that stones from the sky fell, destroying an army determined to break the house of Allah that Abraham built? Oh, mountains of Mecca, how was the dawn on the day that my prophet Muhammad was born? How did it feel knowing he was to be the last and most beloved of all, Rasul of Allah, Nabi of Allah? Oh, mountains of Mecca, you were there when the prophet Muhammad climbed down in despair. Engraved in his heart were the words of his Lord. To all of mankind this was his call. La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. Oh people, praise only Allah, glorify Allah.
Yfactor.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to 87.6 FM. You're listening to the Yfactor. We're back with Jamel on the mic, with Miran, and a special guest, Diaa Mohamed, the entrepreneur who started up MyPeace, a Dawah project that's going all around Sydney, and it's all the rave at the moment. Welcome on to the show, Mohammad. Alright, so if you can just tell us a little bit about what exactly is MyPeace?
MyPeace is just an organisation that I founded that specifically targets non-Muslims, or just everyday Australians that have a misconception about Islam. So I thought there was a real big lacking in the Muslim community about a place where non-Muslim Australians can go and just find out what Islam is, and just the basics. What the principles of Islam is, the prophets, and people hear a lot about what's happening with Muslims on the news and the papers and all that sort of stuff. So,
and not really much from the Muslims themselves.
Nothing from the Muslims. So Islam does have a very big tarnished image, and you can't really blame the media. You can't blame anyone. I mean, really. Muslims, I think, are to blame. MyPeace is just to address those concerns. Just if people want to find out basic principles of Islam, it's not about making anyone Muslim. It's about showing Islam in its true form.
Well, I mean, currently, just going through university myself and things like that. You meet a lot of non-Muslims in Australia who have no idea whatsoever about Islam. Just basically whatever the media's told them, or
it is, and that's sort of the whole point of it. I mean, Australia is a very tolerable country. One Jack came in, he said that their hearts are open to receive the message, and by receiving the message, I mean they will welcome the truth about a certain type of people that they've heard so much about in the media. And universities, I think, is a place where Muslims don't do enough work. I know there's a lot of really good and really strong Muslim organisations, but I think the trap that Muslim organisations fall into is we service too much the Muslims and neglect everybody else, all the non-Muslims.
Instead of having a balance.
Well, having a balance, I mean, we need definitely to, as an ummah, to stick together and have a place where we can get into the religion and enhance ourselves, but we can't neglect the non-Muslims. It's a fault on us to give dawah while living in a non-Muslim country.
That's absolutely true. Sorry, Jamel. I just wanted to pitch in. I think that it's more important now than ever, and I think the reactions to your MyPeace campaign really show how much that is sort of needed in Australian society, especially with the articles that have been coming out and, the reactions from people of other religions to what's been written on the billboards. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Well, the billboard campaign, I saw it a long time ago. Ahmed Diaa actually had one in South Africa in the 80s about the Quran, and I thought, well, that's a really good idea. So I started researching, seeing who else had done it. And the US had done it, England had done it, and I thought it was a good opportunity to do it here. One of the billboards obviously struck up some controversy, the Jesus, a prophet of Islam. But that's the one I thought, well, if we're going to reach out to non-Muslims. This is a predominantly Christian country, no, not officially Christian country. Most people believe in Jesus, and most people don't know that Muslims believe in Jesus, and Jesus is a prophet of Islam, that we call him the Christ, and that he was born of the Virgin Mary, and he performs miracles, and he's coming back. The vast majority of Australians don't know that, and I knew this billboard will make people think, and it has. It has. I mean, a lot of people, even some of the other interviews with the other radio stations, the announcers had no idea Muslims believed in Jesus. Had no idea at all. Had
Some
no
of them
idea.
actually believe we worship the moon.
Well, yeah. I mean, a lot of people think that we worship Muhammad. Astaghfirullah Azim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam.
Call us Mohammedans as well.
Well, that's exactly right. And I remember when I was younger, working in retail, and the lady saw my name and she said Diaa, and I said, "Where's that from?" So I said, "Well, my name is Diaa Mohamed." To strike up a conversation. And she said, "Oh, you believe in Muhammad?" And I said, "Yeah, we believe in Jesus." She says, "No, you believe in Muhammad, we believe in Jesus." And that's what a lot of people think. We have Muhammad, they have Jesus.
Yeah, that we worship Muhammad.
And we're worlds apart. You know, so this is to say, no, we believe in Jesus. And, you know, a whole chapter named in the Quran after Mary, the mother of Christ, and all that sort of stuff is just to get people thinking, you know, and do some research and find out what Islam is.
So you're basically trying to bring Muslims and Christians a little bit closer in understanding by drawing a common ground there with Jesus?
It's exactly right. Yeah, it's to demystify Islam. So, you know, if we did it on the way, you know, Muhammad is a prophet of Islam, it doesn't appeal to anyone because as Muslims we know Muhammad is a prophet of Islam, but the Australian people know that, whether they believe whatever you believe, they know that we have an association or a strong belief towards Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but they don't know that we believe in Isa, Jesus.
Would you say that putting that statement out there is a bit antagonistic, like the Catholic bishops have come out and said in the SMH articles?
Not at all. I'm stating a fact, and you know, myself personally won't make any apologies for it. It's a fact that Jesus is a prophet of Islam. I'm not. You know, it's a fact that Jesus is Lord and Savior to the Christians. That's a fact. So if you know, Christian says, you know, Jesus is my Lord and Savior, that is a fact to them. Jesus is the Lord and Savior. To us, he's a prophet of Islam. But it was meant to sort of build a bridge and have people, Muslims and Christians, at least have something in common to talk about, and start from there. I mean, you always have to start from some sort of common ground.
That's true. I guess you haven't just done billboards. You've also done. You put them on buses and things like that.
Yeah, I've done 3 billboards and 40 buses. The only ad that's on the buses that I haven't put on the billboard yet is the Quran, the Final Testament, which some Christians might find that offensive as well, but we'll see. I mean, you'd be surprised. Everyone that's called me or emailed me has been a Christian or an atheist. You know, so I mean, the whole point of this, people saying, "I didn't know that." Really, let me find out more.
Yes, fun. You know, mashallah is a very powerful form of dawah, very powerful marketing method. You said that you had, you know, in about 300 out of about 300 people who have contacted you in the you know.
Out of the hundreds, I've probably had 10% have been very, very, very negative. Yeah. But 90% have been not only supportive, very supportive. Have actually called in, not just to order information, but have, you know, given messages of support. SubhanAllah. One guy said, "Look, I don't want anything from you. I don't want any books or literature, but I just want to say it's a good idea and keep going." So. Alhamdulillah, that was the idea of it.
Alhamdulillah. And
when you put it in perspective, I mean, you have Jehovah's Witnesses knocking on everyone's doors and trying to spread their message, and there's definitely plenty of Christian billboards out there as well. Don't think that this is any different. I think people just get, you know, have this weird reaction when they see anything to do with Islam straight away, which is why your campaign is pretty important.
It's, but I think the thing Muslims have done ever since the previous generation, our parents when they first came here, is stuck their own little corners. Their English was very bad. They didn't go. The vast majority didn't go to university, didn't go, you know, and because it was just all new to them. Today. Is a lot great opportunity to sort of spread Islam, but it's not necessarily about making people Muslim. You just want to give dawah, and through dawah being a good example and showing what Islam is, whatever happens after that happens. Whether they come to Islam or not, but
you're showing them the message rather than leaving them in the dark.
Yeah, exactly, and people warm to it, you know, and people, you get comments like, you know, if in Saudi Arabia could we do this? Well, we're not in Saudi Arabia. We can either live like them or not live like them, and if we don't live like them, you're still complaining. So. That's a type of
Brother Dear, where'd you get all the capital for something like this? Did you get a lot of dawah organisations who jumped on board, or was it like?
No, to be honest, I haven't got any. I'm not affiliated. I've worked with all the Islamic organisations for the last many years. Mashallah. Every single one of them. I've worked with all of them.
MashaAllah.
But this MyPeace, I've purposely kept it on its own and not have any direct affiliation. Not because it's just to keep everybody. This is purely for non-Muslims, right? So I thought just isolate it. It's on its own. It's purely for non-Muslims. There's no need to align yourself with all the beautiful Muslim organisations out there, because every single Muslim organisation, different or not different, do their own good work.
Yeah.
You guys here in the radio station do your own fantastic work. The LMA, the UMA, Ahl Sunnah Jamaa, everyone does their own real good work. So I thought I'd just leave this on its own, and anyone that wants to support it can, but I'm not really affiliated with anyone officially. The way I funded it was through private donations. Just individuals said, I would like to pay for some of it. You can go to the website and go to the donate page. It's
mypeace.com.au, right?
Yeah, mypeace.com.au. And you can donate.
I think a lot of that, the negative feedback that you have gotten, normally it comes from ignorance, right? And then, it's in a way it itself is oppressive, because it's sort of saying, no, you can't say these things, even though that's what you believe. You can't say what you believe in public.
I had this one lady, very, very staunch Christian. She was very upset, very emotional, and she almost started crying and swearing, and we're not here to antagonise anyone. We're giving dawah. So, she said some abusive things, but the phone call ended up being about a 30-minute phone call.
Wow, subhanAllah.
And I calmed her down, and we spoke about the differences, and alhamdulillah, I do have strong knowledge in the Bible, so I can talk to her about the Bible and relate certain things from the Bible, so by the end of it, she sent me an email saying, thank you very much for, she goes, I still don't agree with what you're doing, but I apologise for being rude and abusive, and I thank you for not losing your temper at me. And the problem is Muslims are very reactive, and we're not very proactive.
Yeah,
and every time someone says something about the hijab, we all come out saying, no, the hijab is this or the hijab is that. Yeah. But we had to wait for someone to say something bad before we came out and explained what the hijab is.
Yeah. Final question. What's the vision? Where are you going to go from here?
Inshallah, there's plans to not stop and go and a lot bigger and better. Put television ads, radio ads, billboards, buses. So I really would like to flood Australia with good Islamic messages that will make people at least understand what Islam really is and demystify it and build that tolerance. So inshallah, we'll keep moving forward.
Inshallah khair. We could really compete with the Americans, who I've heard have had fantastic dawah initiatives and so forth. So maybe we could compete with them in goodness.
Well, inshallah, and look, one of the
alhamdulillah. Well, I think that's fantastic, and I think we'll probably end it there. Barakallahu fiqh, Diaa, for that, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help you in giving more dawah.
Jazakallah, thank you, brother.
Wa yakum. If you want to check out MyPeace, just go to mypeace.com.au and support the initiative, inshallah, for it's something that helps us all in breaking down barriers and in spreading the truth instead of what the media spreads.
We're going to take a short break, and then Amatullah will follow up with the Religious Corner.
This is the Yfactor on 87.6 FM.
The Yfactor. Do you know what Islam is? It's a way of life for all. It is taught in the Quran for big and small. A way of life, a way of life. A way of life, a way of life. Islam is a way of life, a complete way. Do you know what Islam says? It says that life's the greatest test. It says that life's a borrowed space, returned upon rest. A way of life, a way of life, a way of life.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to this week's Religious Corner. So in light of the billboards that have gone up, inshallah, today we will be talking about dawah. So what is dawah? Dawah is actually a means of inviting people to Islam. It's otherwise known as evangelism, which is applicable to all the religions. Now, Dawah is something that has been carried on from our ancestors, from the very first Prophet Adam alayhi salam, up till Prophet Muhammad. They all had the Dawah mission, and that was to declare that there is only one God. So if you think that these billboards going up is a great thing, you're definitely right. But does that mean that you can sit back and relax and think Dawah's taken care of? No. So Allah confirms that definitely it's a duty on every Muslim to invite people to Islam. In Surah An-Nahl, He says, invite all to the way of your Lord with hikmah, which is wisdom, and beautiful preaching, and argue with them in ways which are best. In here it says invite all. This applies to boys and girls. Dawah is not solely for boys. Everyone is responsible for doing dawah. Also, the Prophet says, convey from me even one ayah. And you might be thinking, how can I apply that to my life? Well, really, it's really simple. Say, what's one ayah that we know? Say, for example, wattini wa zaytun. So say you're talking about food with your friends. I only use this example because that's all me and my friends ever talk about. You know, if olives and olive oil are, you know, a staple in our diet, in Muslims' diets, because God took an oath by olives in the Quran, and if Allah takes an oath by something, then you know it's something very beneficial, important, or healthy. And other ways that we can do dawah, it's not something that I can explain to you in 10 minutes or not even 3 hours. Dawah is actually an art, and it takes, you know, extensive knowledge to be able to apply dawah. But for us, there's a very, very simple way. Us as in uni students, TAFE students, school, in the workplace, there's something very effective and yet so easy that we can apply that can be the biggest and best form of dawah. It can be the reason why someone reverts to Islam, and this would cause you to have what is better than anything this whole world has to offer. The Ferrari, the island in, I don't know, the Caribbean, whatever this world has to offer has nothing on inviting or helping someone to revert to Islam. So what is this? What is it that we can do that is so effective? There's a proverb that says, actions speak louder than words, and this was definitely made for dawah. The best form of dawah that we can apply is that we are good role models, and that we convey the best characters, and we convey the best morals and the best manners and the best of actions. So what are some things we can do? What are some ways that we can portray our beautiful deen? So first thing is to impress others with good manners. So whether it's being kind, you know, go out of your way to help people. This can be through giving your friends notes or advising people about your assignment. Say your friend has an assignment and she doesn't know what she's doing. Go and help her or him. Another thing is being polite. You'd be surprised how much a thank you or a please would make a difference, because these days it's very rare to find people that are polite and take the time to say please and thank you and appreciate what people have done. So by you doing that, by you saying please or thank you, something so simple can go a long way. Another thing is being gentle, and this is specifically when you're doing dawah verbally. So if you're telling someone about the deen, you have to be very, very gentle. And you know, in Surah 3, Allah says, and by the mercy of Allah, you dealt with them kindly. And it's speaking about the Prophet here. Prophet, he dealt with them kindly, as in the non-Muslims. And had you been severe and harsh-hearted, they would have certainly broken away from you. So you need to be very, very gentle in speaking with non-Muslims. The other thing is honesty. Now honesty is probably the most effective way. I had one of my best friends, her father is a tree logger, and he said to me, you know, alhamdulillah, they offer me 10 jobs. Alhamdulillah, usually I get 9 out of 10 of the jobs. And the other people working with me, they only get 1 or 2 jobs, and they get shocked. They're like, what do you do? What's different about you? What makes you get these 9 out of 10 jobs? And he said, I'm honest. I'm very honest with the people, my clients. I told them, first thing, I told them the negatives of me maybe cutting their tree down. The negatives about the cost, how much it's going to be. And then after that, after he's told them the negatives and the bad things about the job, he will tell them the good things. And through that honesty, he gets that success. And obviously, it's this going to make non-Muslims trust you, and they're going to respect Muslims more because they're honest, you know. And think about it, how did Islam spread in a country like India? A Muslim army never stepped foot or set foot in India, but how did they do it? It was actually Arab traders that used to go to India, and they were known to be very, very honest, and they were so honest, and the king, like the Indian king, loved them so much at that time that he built them a mosque. He built the Muslims a mosque because they were so honest in their trade, and because they were honest, created stability in the trade of their cities. So, you know, India, subhanAllah, has one of the biggest Muslim populations in the world. It currently has 177.3 million Muslims, according to the PEW Research Center. And all that started from a few Arab travelers that were honest. And that is the best way of dawah. Other things that you can apply to your daily life. For example, you're at uni, you know, you've taken chocolate to survive the lecture. You leave your rubbish behind. By taking your rubbish and putting it in the bin, you never know who will see you. And it's not about being who will see you, really. It's about you doing the right thing and doing it to please Allah. But general cleanliness is definitely something that other people will admire. Something else you can do. Giving back the correct change. For example, the bus driver gives you extra 10 cents. Go and give it back. You don't know what that 10 cents might do. You know, helping a lady trying to go up the stairs with a pram. Helping an old lady with her shopping. Speaking to your family. When you speak to your family, be very gentle, especially in front of your non-Muslim friends. Like, for example, I have a friend, she'll call up her mum and she'll be like, hi mum, what's for food today? You know, ease into a little bit. How are you? Spoil her a bit. And through those little things, people will be attracted to your gentleness and your good manners. Another thing you can do is, if you sneeze, say alhamdulillah. Don't be afraid. Say it clearly. You know, when my sister was working, every time she'd sneeze, she'd say alhamdulillah, just automatic. And then one day, her colleague at work asked her, what's that thing that you always say after you sneeze? And she told her, she goes, we thank Allah every time we sneeze, because when you sneeze, your heartbeat stops for a second, and Allah revives that beat, your normal beating of the heart again, and so we thank Him. Another thing, say inshallah. You never know, that might strike up a conversation. Mentioning that you are going to pray as well during salat time. Other things, smell good. Make sure you always smell good, look good, and be presentable. And please, 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 don't swear. Don't use foul language in your conversation. And I guess the most effective way also is smiling. And we all know that smile is charity, just something so simple, but it can create a connection that you don't know where it will lead to. So why are good actions so effective in doing dawah? It's actually because when your actions agree with what you are calling to, then people will accept the message. My final advice, my final tip for you is actually something that was inspired by something that Rasul did, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So the Rasul used to order Umar to invite masses of non-Muslims, and he used to invite them to dinner, like he used to do a dinner for them, and he used to tell them about Islam. And so maybe we can apply that to our lives. You know, this Ramadan's coming up in 2 months. You know, try and make it your target that you invite 3 of your workmates, or invite 3 of your non-Muslim friends from TAFE, or 3 of your friends from school, and tell them, look, you know, I want to invite you over for dinner, like I'm fasting, and I want to show you a bit of Ramadan and let you feel how Ramadan is. So inshallah, try and apply that this year in Ramadan. The last thing I'd like to say is that, you know, a lot of the time we're under scrutiny, and sometimes if you feel down because the ummah is kind of down, you know, like with all the revolutions, a lot of killings and wars, but the fact of the matter is, Islam is still doing well. Don't worry about Islam. Alhamdulillah, we're doing dawah, we're doing the right thing. Our religion, Islam, is growing. It's the fastest growing religion in the world. You know, my mother, may Allah have mercy on her, she's the president of Iowa, which is a women's organization in Lakemba. And just in the month of May, mashallah, they had 5 non-Muslim women convert. Just in one small organization in Lakemba, in Sydney. Imagine on a global scale how many people are converting. And this is hope for us. We have to be hopeful and driven and continue to do dawah. How? First and foremostly through our character, being a good role model, and through our actions. And don't be afraid of being rejected. You know, at the end of the day, it's not you that guides with your hand. It's only through Allah, through Allah's opening of people's hearts and letting the word affect their hearts, that makes them become Muslim. So you try your best, you do your best, and leave God with the rest. We're going to take a short song break, and Jamel and Mohammad will be wrapping up the show.
The existence of what's surrounding me, it's more than just chance. It's more than just coincidence. You look around and see the earth, the moon, the sun and the sky, a beautiful creation of Allah. So how could you deny?
How can you deny the oneness of Allah? Allahu Akbar. How can you deny the oneness of Allah? Allahu Akbar. How can you deny the oneness of Allah? Allahu Akbar. How can you deny the oneness of Allah? Allahu Akbar. Lift your head and look up above, and you'll see it so clearly. The stars that glitter all around, the birds that fly over me. I see the rain fall from the sky, and see a seed become a tree. Lift the veil from your heart.
Oh, this is the final part of today's segment, isn't it, Jamel?
The end.
We've reached
the why factor.
Why? Why do we have to finish for? Anyway, we're going to go on to our interesting fact for the week. This fact is pretty interesting. If you yelled for 8 years, 7 months, and 6 days, you would have produced enough sound energy to heat 1 cup of coffee.
Jeez, how's it seems worth it.
Oh, tell me about it. Just go buy a coffee or something. Yeah, what's the other thing, Jamel?
Well, there's another apparently fascinating fact, according to Mohammad, which is that it's been proven statistically that when a salesperson wears a tie, there's a great statistical difference between making a sale and not making a sale.
Oh, hold on. So they say that if a salesperson wears a tie, let's say you have 2 salesperson, one who doesn't and one who does. The one with the tie has a better chance of selling the car.
That's
Is that right?
Or, whatever, it could be like, wow, I am totally sold on that useless object just because you're wearing a tie, and probably because you're quite handsome, mashallah, Mohammed.
Or a more common scenario, Jamel, is, wow, thanks a lot, salesperson with a tie. I'd like to purchase that Ferrari worth $1.2 million. Don't worry about the price. You're very convincing.
Yeah, I don't really have that much capital lying around.
Likewise. Anyway, moving on to our events for this week. On Friday night, inshallah, there will be a lecture series this Friday, inshallah, about the tongue. It will be organised by Al-Ghazali Centre and held at the actual centre itself, which is located on 1021A Canterbury Road, Lakemba. It's $5 per person. It's on this Friday from 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. And if you're a platinum member, you can attend the course for free, but if you're a normal person, you have to pay $5. For further information, email academydirector@alghazali.org or phone 97081539. And the other event for this week is on the Saturday, which is the following day, and it's a treat for our sisters, isn't it, Jamel?
A very chocolatey sweet.
Speaking of chocolates, we did cover Mars bars
Sweet treat.
and Kit Kats.
We did.
Now, Mahboba's promise is inviting a females-only dinner to a chocolate indulgence where they shall share in the sweetness of giving, enjoy the eternal sweetness of the hereafter, and taste the sweetness of sponsoring an orphan or two to pretty much be a part of a home or education centre for Al-Hafidh Quran children.
Should be good. I'm actually quite jealous. How come we don't have a men's event like that?
We should have one. Well, look, you can attend in a niqab. There's always that prospect, Jamel.
Just get out the mascara and...
It'll be held this Saturday, inshallah, at 6 p.m. at the Emporium in Bankstown. It's $50 per person. For more information, go to www.mahbobaspromise.org. So it's MAHBOBASPROMISE.org for further information.
And one of the last events that's I'm actually quite excited about, it's coming up in about 3 weeks' time, is the Muslim Aid Australia annual the fundraising dinner for the global emergency, and it's basically an appeal. They've come up with the great idea of basically pooling all funds together because there's so many disasters that happen. Apparently there's 392, this is on record, 392 to 500 world disasters that happen each year, and that's just the natural disasters, not including the man-made disasters or anything like that. So what they're doing is they're holding this dinner to raise funds basically for this appeal. And all of the pooled funds then get distributed to the different countries. So instead of wasting time on doing a whole bunch of, only 10 appeals or so forth a year or 20 appeals a year, they've got a global emergency appeal, so it makes it much more effective. And they're going to have a comedian there who's a finalist in the Triple J Comedy Festival, one of the up-and-coming best spoken word artists, Zohab Khan, Sean McNulty, the witty Brit from Stories in the Park, and some special surprises. I even hear they may actually have Anthony Mundine, Hazim Al-Mazri, and maybe even Sonny Bill Williams, inshallah, coming.
Wow,
that'll be pretty awesome.
That is definitely a lineup of celebrities there.
Inshallah they can make it. That'll be pretty awesome to see them.
So
there.
when is it and how much is it?
It's on the 18th of June, so it's about 3 weeks' time. The dinner is actually by the beach at an awesome venue which I've seen before. I've heard good things about, and so it's by the sea, and you can check it out at www.muslimaid.org.au. That's muslimaid.org.au, and book your tickets online, or just call Muslim Aid up and you can probably reserve the tickets there, and you can see me there.
Should be a great event. Our final event for this week's episode is the Muslim, the movie screening in Australia. It's actually coming soon.
Turkish there, Muslim.
Muslim, yeah, that's how it's spelled, Mooz, and LUM. So it's actually a movie. It's got some very big names in it. It stars Danny Glover, Nia Long, and Yvonne Ross. It's about, for example, the post 9/11 reaction of Muslims and non-Muslims in America. It's very interesting. I've watched the trailer.
Yeah, it's about basically not about generalizing, about people just because of
the actions of a few.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that movie brought me to tears. I absolutely loved it so much, and I've only seen the poster. So, it's, inshallah, actually, this movie did better than Justin Bieber's movie in the States. So,
Yeah, I heard. I mean,
apparently. Isn't everybody a fan of Justin Bieber? Like, that movie was massive.
Keep your fantasies to yourself, Jamel. Anyway, this Muslim movie is an independent film, so it won't be screened by, for example, the mainstream, for example, Reading Cinemas and Greater Union and places like that.
It's open to the public, and they've only got a limited amount of tickets too, so you're going to have to purchase them quick.
That's right. For tickets, go to Muslim the Movie /Australia on Facebook. It's actually got nearly 3,500 likes at the moment. It's organised by One Ummah Projects, and they'll actually be bringing the first-time director Qasim Basir, to Australia to have a chat. There'll be Q&A sessions. Should be a fantastic event. If you want to lock in your tickets, get them in early because they're going quickly. Go to Muslim the Movie /Australia on Facebook and follow the links.
It should be awesome.
But Jamel, I think this is the end of our program.
Such a shame.
We've covered so many interesting stories, from mosques being not approved because they're unusual. I think they pray.
Yeah, 5 times a day as well. Can you believe that?
Oh my goodness! Stop! My ears can't hear anymore.
God. The humanity.
To Istanbul being chosen as the world's most livable city.
Now that, I think, was rigged.
And even video games with their, child pornography connotations.
Here we go again.
Actually, let's not start. I mean, there was an attack on chocolate, Jamel. Like, I'm actually offended.
Leave the video games alone. And chocolate as well. My God, it's halal. Oh no!
Anyway, Jamel, you can continue your campaign of making everything halal in Australia.
Yes, even VB and everything else.
Yeah, and Jack.
We're going to make Holden and Honda's halal as well somehow.
Inshallah. It's ambitious, but I'll support you. Jack also gave us an interesting insight into the rat epidemic in
he did.
Outback Queensland.
Should give him a call to see how that's going.
We should, inshallah. We'll call him up after the program. But I guess that brings us to the end of our episode for this week. Thank you very much for listening. As we said, please jump on our Facebook page, the Yfactor radio program. We are open to your suggestions and your comments and your feedback. Suggest a story, upload some links, anything you think is interesting and we should air it. We will, inshallah. We are open to what you have to say, aren't we, Jamel?
Certainly are.
Jazakallah khairan for having us this week. We'll be here same time, same place next week, inshallah. And Jamel will also be one of our hosts for our episodes. Now he's locked in. He's part of the Yfactor team officially.
Only if you can stand me.
We'll be able to stand you. We'll just get you some halal certification documents, and you should be fine, inshallah.
I'll travel to Mars in my spacesuits and start making Mars more halal. Alright, people, it's been a pleasure being on the mic here with Mohammad, and inshallah we're looking forward to further episodes in the future with lots of fun and laughs and things like that, and hopefully, maybe even get ourselves a longer segment where we can have...
Absolutely, Jamel. You were listening to the Yfactor on
87.6
FM. Assalamu alaikum
wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. That's the Yfactor.
Wife, know that you miss her, know that you can never give up. When you fall to the floor, I'm the reason you must get up. Love, I'm a blessing God, so why you don't use me more? It's so odd. You need love, we need love. Love is all we need. Love is all we need. All we need is love.
It's Jack again. Mohammed, are you there? There's some rats here, mate. They're coming back. They're trying to steal my teeth. They're not even false teeth.
Calm down, you're on air.
Send the Muslims, mate. Send the Muslims. We need some help here.
Take our show backs.
You guys do halal.
Yeah, we do. Bye.